What is up, ladies and gentlemen? My name is Jake Podger. Tonight, little impromptu show. I had to do it for the schedule release. Very exciting time that we have here, joined by none other than Mr. Sean Kula. Some others may be joining us. We did extend the invite out to Brett. Not sure if he's going to be hopping on or not. Mike, unfortunately, not able to join us tonight. So just me and Sean for right now. It should be exciting. We're going to be talking about the Buffalo Bills 2024 schedule and an all too early prediction of the wins and losses as they come this year. So, Sean, how we feeling, brother? Schedule release, it's always exciting. Looks like 5 primetime games for the Buffalo Bills. Love the name, by the way, real as it gets, and absolutely hilarious profile picture there, brother.
I know I had to dig deep to find that one, but no, I'm feeling
Incredible.
good. Like I said, we're in the process of planning the game we're all going to go to, and I think we have 2 home games in the first 6, so we don't have many many choices. But looking like Jacksonville week 3 prime time
Yep.
looks like it'll be a fun time. So look forward to that. But yeah, I mean it's as based off of so we can only talk about what we know.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously, some of these teams that everyone thinks is going to be good is going to be bad. Some teams that are bad are going to be good. But looking at it as it is right now, based off of last year, this is an extremely difficult schedule.
Yeah, it definitely is. I mean, when you look at the combined record too, I didn't see exactly what that was, but I mean, a lot of obviously playoff teams on the schedule here. Some big time matchups too. I mean, when you look at the AFC teams alone that we're playing, I mean, we got a tough stretch of games. I mean, right away we got week 2 starting with the Finns, then we go right into Jacksonville, Baltimore, Houston. That's a hell of a stretch right there alone. And then about the midway point, we got Seattle, Miami, Indianapolis, KC, and then San Fran, and then it keeps going right from there. You got San Fran,
Yeah.
LA, and Detroit. I mean, again, a lot of playoff caliber teams on the schedule here. So it's
hmm
exciting. I love it. The Bills are going to have to prove a lot of doubters wrong this year, but I love sitting as the underdog for a lot of these games. It's a beautiful thing. So without further ado, man, let's go take a look at the schedule here. Let's predict the wins and losses. What do you say?
Let's do it.
All right. So starting off week 1 at Arizona. And in fact, you know what I'm going to do? I actually like this a little bit better. Let me,
I think we're home for that one, Jake.
we sure are. That's the home opener. I'm going to
hmm
share a better image of that just to bring it up. So this is actually, I was on FanDuel because I wanted to see if they had the odds released. They actually do for the Arizona game right here. If you look at it, they already have it released, and the Bills are 7 point favorites to start the year off against the Cards. So you gotta love it. Beautiful thing to see. Now, I don't love necessarily being the favorites right off the bat. I think the Bills have a lot to prove
Yeah,
this year.
we
But
do.
without further ado, man, what are we thinking about that Cardinals game? You think that's a win or a loss?
I'm gonna say it's a win, but at the same time, I don't think it's going to be like the Cardinals of old. I mean, people forget that Kyler was in the MVP conversation his last healthy season,
Yeah.
and you know they seem to be trending in the right direction near the end of last year. I mean, they ended up beating Philadelphia, near the end of the year. I know Philly went on a bad streak there, but the Cardinals weren't world beaters last year, and then they add guys like Marvin Harrison. They made some free agent acquisitions, and I didn't really pay much attention to their draft, minus Harrison. But
Yeah.
these type of games where they shouldn't be too great of a team, you know, we can't afford to lose to teams like this year. We did it last year. We lost to Denver. We lost to New England. We lost to the Jets. We can't do that kind of thing this year because we're already starting off. Again, new defensive coordinator, new weapons all over the place, new offense going to be implemented, so we can't afford to lose to teams like this. But
Mhm.
I think we'll win. I don't know if it's going to be a blowout, but I think it'll be like a pretty good. It'll be a good game. It'll be a good opening week game, and I think we'll win this one.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think 7 points. I don't know. I don't know if it's gonna be a touchdown game. I could definitely see it. I think it's gonna be, obviously the crowd's gonna be rocking. First game of the year at home, 1 o'clock too. I mean, I think people are super fired up to see a few more 1 o'clock games this year than there were last year. It just seemed like we had so many primetime games and we played at so many different times. Obviously, we do have 5 primetime games this year, and it looks like we had a couple 425 slots as like that featured game of the week matchup. But always good to start off the year at a 1 p.m. kickoff game, right? So, and I think
Yeah,
Sean, I think I'll be going to that one. So I'm excited, man. It's gonna be
yeah,
fun.
it'll be a good. I've never been to a season or home opener, so I guess there's a different energy to it.
Oh yeah, oh
But
yeah, for sure.
like I said, it also reminds me of that year we lost to Pittsburgh.
Hmm.
Week one off of that blocked punt. It's like can't let things like that happen. We're younger. We got again new pieces, so we kind of have to be as technically sound as we can and try to limit mistakes so we don't drop teams again because we have a lot of great teams that we're playing. So we want to be able to lose a couple of those good teams and not affect us as much as it would if you lost to bad teams too. So we'll see how they
Absolutely.
come.
Yeah.
See how they come out.
I definitely think you got to win the games you're supposed to win, right? This year more than any year previously. Like there's not many
Yeah.
things you can get away with this year, I feel. So
Right.
I'm with you though. I think it's a win in the books. I'm gonna actually give you score predictions too, because why not? We can go back and clip these if
Sure.
we want. But I'm gonna say, you know what? Let's have the Bills cover. Let's have them just barely cover. We're gonna say 28-17 Bills.
All right.
28-20. 28-20 Bills. 28-20.
28-20. I'll say 24-20.
All right, I like it. So they're not covering, but they are getting the dub.
Yep.
Hell yeah.
We're getting it.
Uh, Dad, great to see you out there. Thank you for joining. Weston, man, everybody's got brutal schedules. LOL. Yeah. How about the Kansas City Chiefs? I mean, how many primetime games do you guys have? You guys are playing on Christmas. You're playing on Black Friday. You're the opening game of the year. Obviously, you got the CBS special against us, which is great. And I obviously there's some other primetime games mixed into there too. So, Chiefs got a tough schedule. I feel like so. Talking about the Bills, and they also had 5 primetime games. It feels like a lot more, but maybe it's just because we've been hearing nothing but Chiefs talk from our boy Weston. Weston, always appreciate the insight and intel from Chiefs Nation out there. My dad's saying 35-17 Bills. Love that. That would be an opening day statement, to say the least. And
Yeah,
if
I
we're
like
scoring
that.
35 points, I mean, the offense is probably cooking. So I'm here for that.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
definitely.
Yeah. And when you look at this Cardinals team, real quick, I'll just go over it quickly. I mean, obviously the key additions that they have with Marvin Harrison Jr., that's the most notable one. They did bring in Trey Benson, one of their picks there, the 3rd-round pick out of Florida State, running back. He'll be backing up James Conner, little change of pace back, if you will. Trey McBride had a really strong finish to the year as well for the Cardinals, so that's a guy to look out
Yeah.
for. Greg Dortch, solid player, and they did just sign Zay Jones, former Buffalo Bill.
Yep.
So some storylines there. It'll be interesting.
Definitely.
Yeah. But yeah, I like the Bills in this one. Let's go 28-20 Bills. Sean says 24-20, and my dad says 35-17. Love it. And Weston says 28-17 Bills. Hell yeah. So we got
Mhm.
4 Bills wins there chalked up. Absolutely love it.
There
So
we go.
1-0. 1-0, baby. Why not?
Let's do
Next
it.
up. First primetime game of the year. First Thursday night football game on Amazon Prime. Should be an exciting one. A division rivalry that is now, it's a budding rivalry again. Hopefully getting back to what it was back in the 90s and late 80s with Jim Kelly and Dan Marino. Now it's Josh Allen and Tua Tagovailoa. Sean, what are we thinking about this one at Miami Thursday night? Miami, really good receiving core. They have a lot of weapons. Defense a little depleted, but how are we feeling
Yeah.
about this?
Well, it's tough because you want to say like if you're the Dolphins, you want to play the Bills early like this because I think it's going to take us a bit to really get going if and when we do, just because like I said, so many new things and counting on people to step up that maybe haven't yet in their
Mhm.
career. But like you said, their whole defensive line is jacked up.
Yeah.
They have no Christian Wilkins, no Bradley Chubb, no Jalen Phillips. So then it's like it kind of evens it out, and then you're just like, well, we really always beat the Dolphins, but you know what I mean. So it's like you have all those thoughts in your head, but I think I'll just give us a loss here just because there's so many unknowns as of right now. I don't think I don't think we can't sweep them. You know what I mean? I think when they have a better roster than us. I think they did last year too, but
Yeah.
we ended up sweeping them last year. So I think at the end of the day, sometimes it comes down to we got the better quarterback, and I think we just know how to beat Miami. But I think this time, just to be part fair and unbiased, I think they'll take this one at home. But at the end of the day, I wouldn't be surprised if we won.
Yeah, I agree with that. Josh Allen has a great history against the Dolphins, especially in Miami. Now, I did go to the one game that he did lose in Miami, and that was tough. It was also 113 degrees. Guys were laying on the field getting
Yeah.
IVs injected into them. So, unusual circumstances to say the least. Now, I don't want to jinx it, but it is a nighttime game. I don't foresee there being a circumstance where it's 113 degrees at night, right? So,
Well, if it is, then
hopefully,
if it is, say your prayers, say goodbye to your families because something's going on in the world.
yeah, you ain't kidding, man. You ain't kidding. Yeah. But looking at this Dolphins team, I mean, they go ahead and draft Chop Robinson. And the thought is maybe Jalen Phillips and Bradley Chubb won't be as ready to go as a lot of people think they will be. It is more or less an insurance policy and a guy that's going to still play as a rotational piece and probably will
Oh
eventually
yeah,
be the starter there. I mean, he's their first round pick. He's got insane talent and a hell of an upside. Um, so the Dolphins did a lot to get themselves weapons, but where they are going to struggle, I think, a little bit is on the offensive line. And I actually really like what we did on the defensive line in the offseason. I think that's where we're going to win in the trenches. And obviously, Josh Allen, just a great history against the Finns. So I'm going to give the Bills the win here. I'm going to say this is a one touchdown game. I'm going to say 24-17 Bills. My dad
yeah,
says
and
24-20.
like I said, it's not that I don't. Like I said, we're 12-2 against them in the last six
Yeah.
years, but so it's not that I don't think we can do it. For me, and I was just kind of I was on the fence tailgate earlier when they were doing their schedule release, and I was kind of talking with them, and I was like, honestly, with the secondary they have, with the receiving core we have, if we can't run the ball,
Yep.
it might be really hard to get one over on Jalen Ramsey, and it's just I don't know. I just feel like they got a good secondary and early on with our young core. I know we got Kincaid and Cook and stuff, but I mean if we start off running the ball well and then, our defense is playing well and then we can get the linebackers to cheat up and not sit back and everything and have to go deep all the time. I think we can win, but I just feel like early on I think we'll still be working out some kinks and, you know, again, everybody's got to buy into it. We got to
Yeah.
Brady's supposed to be implementing a new offense, and none of us know. Even he doesn't know if it's going to work out. He may think we have the personnel for it to work, but we got to put it into play first. So that's the only reason why I'm saying that I think the Dolphins can win here because again I think they had a better roster than us last year, and we ended up winning. So it's just
Right.
we got to see how the season goes.
Yeah.
But I think
Yeah,
it's
I
gonna be
agree.
I think it'll be a close one though. Maybe like 27-24.
Okay. I love that. All right. So we got Bills wins across the board. My dad says 24-20. Weston says 28-24. You say 27-24. I say
But we lose though.
24-17. What's that?
I had us losing though.
Oh, you had a loss. Well, hey,
Yeah,
3-1.
but then
3-1, Sean.
I just wouldn't be surprised if we won though. It was just a tough one for me because I
Yeah.
just think again too much to worry about in the beginning and you know I don't know. Just feel like
Yeah.
their secondary is gonna be ready for the challenge.
Well, I mean, big storyline here, right? Jordan Porter coming back, playing against his former team. That's going to definitely be one that people are following throughout the week. But I'll tell you what, this is why I really do like the Bills, the trenches. I mean, our offensive
Yeah.
line versus their defensive line, which is a little depleted, and then vice versa, our defensive line versus their O line. I think we're better on both ends there. So to me, I think that's where this game's going to be won. So I'm going to stick with it, baby. Mike coming in. Mike, great to see you out there. Wish you were on with us. Listen, we know it was a little impromptu. I wasn't even so sure I was going to go live with this, but Sean convinced me, and I'm glad we did it because
Yeah.
this is awesome. It's great to go through the schedule. I'm so excited. I'm going to be up late anyways, evaluating, looking through it probably 1,000 times. So, Yeah, I love what you say here, though, Mike. I agree with Sean. So many changes for the Bills, and it takes time to get the chemistry going. And the Dolphins have the best offensive weapons in the game. Yeah, I mean, without a doubt, they got Odell Beckham essentially on the cheap. They got Malik Washington late in the draft. What a steal he was in the 6th round. And then, of course, Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill. And then they did sign Jonnu Smith as well as a tight end. So not bad at all. Really not bad. So, yeah, we'll give the Bills a win here just because the majority in the chat said Bills. So we're looking at 2-0 to start the year off. I kind of love it. Now I could see us being 1-1 and splitting these games, definitely.
And I'd be hoping that too.
Yeah, for sure. On to Jacksonville. All right, Sean. This is a game where, personally, this is going to be very important because maybe we get together as a group and go to this game, right? This is the game we were sort of targeting, Jacksonville, primetime game. That's the first of, I think, 2 Monday nighters. The Bills have the earlier time at 7:30, and then there's another one that runs simultaneously at 8:15. How are we feeling about this one, brother?
Yeah, well, unfortunately for us, it seems we just can't beat Jacksonville. So, playing them in a primetime spot, we have the opportunity to not wipe the slate clean, but to start moving back in the right direction, make up for last year's crappy loss we had against them, and we should have won. And then Gabe Davis is there, Mitch Morse is there. They're coming back home, so that's always an interesting storyline. I think I still think we're a better team than Jacksonville. I think we were last year too. It's just it seemed like every time we play them, we just forget how to play football sometimes.
Yeah.
But I think this year will be different. I think we'll win this time. And plus, because we're going to be there too. And I have never been to a game where we lost, so that's another good omen. And we're going to have the whole crew there. I know Brett says he's plans changed, but we're going to drag him out there, and Mike's going to come out there, spend a nice weekend in Buffalo, go watch the game, and then either be 2-1, 3-0, 1-2, or 0-3.
Yeah.
But I think we'll win this game. I think this will be our best game out of the first 3. I just feel like everything's gonna, we're just gonna have one of those out of body experience games where everything clicks, and kind of like Miami in week 4 last year that I went to, everything just seemed to work well for us. I think we'll win 31-23.
Ooh, I like that. I like it. And I'll say this: the last 3 times we played Jacksonville at home, they've all been wins.
There we
The
go.
last time we actually hosted them at home, I want to say it was the infamous Leonard Fournette Shaq Lawson fight that went down. So at the end of the game, there was a little incident. Leonard Fournette threw a punch. Shaq Lawson got involved, and there's some beef between the 2 of them in the tunnel. And I think Leonard Fournette went after a fan, I want to say, or something too. I think a fan said something to him. He pulled him down or grabbed him by his chest or whatever. So a little bit of history there, a little bit of bad blood. But yeah. So that's interesting. Little interesting stat line there for you. Of course, the last time we played Jacksonville, it was in London, so not technically at home, even though it was registered as a home game. So,
right.
To me, I like the matchup. I know the Jags made a conscious effort to get some more weapons. Obviously, drafting Brian Thomas Jr., going and getting Gabe Davis, solidifying that offensive line. I think they got a really nice young team. I mean, don't forget about Evan Ingram, who caught 114 passes last year, which is insane, bananas. But listen, I think our Josh Allen over their Josh Allen this time around. Let's give the Bills another dub. Starting off 3-0, baby. And it looks like the chat agrees with us. My dad's saying 28-17. Weston's saying 23-20. Says he thinks it's close because the Jags are fighting for some relevancy this season. Might be a bit feisty, but it's at home, and I think the Bills take it. Love that. Yeah, I agree. And a lot of great storylines again. I mean, 2 back-to-back games with that, right? So I liked your prediction, Sean. You said 31-23. Let's go 33. Let's go 33-20. Bills.
Love it.
Defense is showing up, baby. Only allowing a max of 20 points a game. We'll take it, right? Bobby Babbage. Yep. All right. Now, this is a big one. This is going to be a game that I potentially go to as well. So it looks like 3 of the first 4 games I may be attending, which is very exciting. We always like to go to an away game, 1 per year. And we said at the end of last year it was going to be Baltimore. Now, we have some guys on the channel here for Nickel City Mafia, Chris and Rick. and they're huge Baltimore Ravens fans. Both of them from there, they grew up there. They will be making the trip to Baltimore, so I think it's only right, obviously, that we meet up and do a little pod there. But besides the point there, at Baltimore, right, Sunday night, this is a black and blue game, and I think we're going to be seeing some head-on-head collision going on here, like legitimate, good old-fashioned football. So, how are we feeling about this one, Sean? They got Derrick Henry, right? So they got a human bowling
Yeah.
ball back in the backfield. They're known for running the football and being that rough, tough team. But how do you think the Bills match up against the Baltimore Ravens?
Um, I know I said earlier, like to you guys, I hope we play them like week 1 or week 2, just because I want to, maybe have a better chance against them early. But at this point, like even week 4, I feel like that's not early enough. I think
Yeah.
they'll already be into, what they were last year for them if they aren't that by week 3 or 2 anyway. For the way I picked the schedule so far, I said we have out of body experience kind of against Jacksonville where everything clicks. As far as the offense goes, everything on defense is good. And then we kind of get brought back down to earth. We're going to lose to Baltimore again. I don't think it's going to be a blowout or anything, but it'll be one of those weeks where we're all high on everything because we saw how the offense came together by week 3, and then it just takes a little step back, and then maybe like I want to say 27-20 Baltimore.
Yeah.
Close game for the most part, but then it just, we need someone on offense besides Josh to make a big play, and it just doesn't happen. And then I think we fall to 2-2. But I think maybe if we played them also later in the year near the end, that maybe I think we could beat them. Even week 4, we could also probably beat them. I just think they'll be ready. They'll be more primed and ready to go than we are, and it'll come down to a couple of plays, and they'll
Yeah.
win.
Well, it looks like the chat agrees with you here. It looks like they're thinking it's going to be somewhat close, but my dad's saying 28-30, Ravens 30-28 against the Bills. Weston 28-21 against the Bills. Now, I think here's why the Bills could win this game. Sean McDermott, for whatever reason, does a really, really good job game planning against mobile quarterbacks. He's always had a lot of success against guys like that. And the last game we played against Baltimore, it was in the rain. We came back. It was a 20-point lead, I think the Ravens had on us or something like that. It was
Yeah, it
maybe
was
20 to
20.
nothing.
It was 20-3, and we
20 to
won
3. So 7, yeah.
23-20. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, we've won the last 2 against them, including that
Yep.
playoff game, the divisional round where Taron Johnson had a pick 6.
Definitely.
Obviously have had a pretty good history over the last couple of years against them, but I could definitely see this being a loss. And, unfortunately, when I do go to these away games, I have been, I'm 0-2. I went to Philly last year and I went to Miami the previous year, and we lost both those games in an absolute heartbreaking fashion.
So maybe
But
just don't go,
yeah, right. Yeah, that might be a better plan, right? But got to
or
do it, baby.
you go to away areas and then just go to bars and watch the game instead of going to the stadium. So see if that changes the dynamic. See if we
I
win.
kind of love that. Yeah,
Because
not a
you
bad
can still,
idea.
you can still have fun in the city, and you can even tailgate at the place, and then just go to a local restaurant and and watch.
Yeah, might not be a bad play. Mike's saying Baltimore is stacked, but McDermott has always done well against Lamar. Baltimore gets the win. So he's still saying Baltimore gets the win. So we're going to chalk up the first loss of the season there to the Baltimore Ravens. Bills start off 3-1 in the first quarter of the schedule there. So not too shabby, not too shabby. And by the way, what do we got here? 3 straight primetime games there from weeks 2 to
Four
5.
four of our first 6 games are prime time.
That's crazy, man. Wow.
And then we only have one
Absolutely
prime
nuts.
time. And then we only have one prime. Some people say 4:30 is prime time, but we have one actual prime time game
Yeah.
left after the first 6 weeks.
Yeah, that is wild.
So we're getting them all,
Wow.
and I kind of don't like that too because I feel like I wish they were at the end because I feel like we're going to be better at the end of the year than we are in the first half of the year, just because again having to get chemistry going. And I know we have,
Yep.
I know Josh's chemistry with Kincaid and Knox and all that, but as a whole with the new offense it needs to have a chemistry for everybody. So I would rather have the primetime games near the end, because I feel like they're setting us up for failure. Like, oh, let's watch the Bills struggle on prime time while they're getting their groove going. I feel like that's why they did it, but you know, who cares?
Sure.
Maybe we'll show them something.
Well, I mean, this is another thing too. I mean, we're in an away game stretch here as well. I mean, at Baltimore, at Houston, at New York, those are tough places to play. So
Yep.
against some playoff caliber teams, more than likely. But yeah, this Texans game is going to be interesting, right? This is the Stephon Diggs, Josh Allen reunion on opposite teams. So definitely going
Let's
to be a
see.
lot of talk going into this week. Yeah, what do you think, man? Houston is one of the up and coming teams here. They got a great young roster, just added some more fuel
Yeah.
to their arsenal.
Yeah. I said it when I did my wide receiver show on the breakdown on the Ruthless show a couple weeks ago. They got the best offensive weaponry in the NFL.
Yeah.
With Tank, healthy Tank Dell, Stephon Diggs, Nico Collins, Noah Brown, Joe Mixon, uh, that who's the other? Damian Pierce is running back. They still got the best left tackle in the league. They built up their offensive line. So they're very stacked. And then their defense, great secondary. They have a great defensive line. Uh, I think we'll lose this one too, honestly, which I hate. I don't want to. I would love I would love to win this game, but again, I just think it's a time where we got a hard stretch right off the bat, and who knows if we could beat a team like Baltimore going into it, it might change things. So it's all about, and in all sports too, it's about momentum. So like if we
Hmm.
start off rough, like maybe we do lose to the Cardinals, for example, and then we drop one to Miami. Maybe that could derail the whole season right off the bat. Or if you start off 2-0, even if you're struggling, like getting your chemistry going, it could change just like the whole attitude of the team, and maybe you can knock off a couple wins you might not have thought you could have got. But I don't know. I think we're going to fall to 2-3, losing to Texans. Again, I don't think it's going to be a blowout. I think it'll be 30-27 Texans.
Okay. Wow. Yeah.
It'll and it'll be a game where Josh goes off, but we just lose. It's not going to be like he's going
mm,
to throw two picks or anything. It's just a good game, and then it just comes down to one play. We got to make a stop, and we don't.
we always struggle in Houston, it seems, too, for whatever reason. For as long as I can remember. I mean, I remember watching a game back in the day where David Carr was the quarterback for the Houston Texans. We somehow lose a game. It was like 12-10 or something like that. There was like a random safety that happened at the end because they just wanted to run out the clock, essentially. I think Jerome Mathis was returning kicks for him at the time. I can't quite remember, but I do know that we lost that game. And yeah, I don't know what it is. And then of course, the most recent memory I have with that Texans playoff loss in the 2019 season, that still haunts me to this day. Just
Oh,
thinking
it
of
was
Josh Allen
horrible.
trying to make a play and throwing it backwards, like,
That would have been the best play in the world, though, because Knox just wasn't paying attention. Like, but
yeah.
it was he probably could have caught it if he was expecting it.
Hmm.
So it's like, man, if he made that play, that that probably would have been the best play in the history of playoffs. But
Oh, yeah.
and then not only with that game too, it's like that touchdown that we got that when they dropped the ball in the end zone that they called that back. That was a touchdown that should have never been called back. And then it was 3rd and 35, and then we gave up a first down to that bum Taiwan Jones, and then they kicked the field
Taiwan
goal. And won.
Jones.
Yeah, of
Yeah.
all of all players, like just a career special teamer just makes the biggest play of the game against us on 3rd and 25 or 35, and
Nuts.
the clock hit double zeros for
Hmm.
like 2 seconds, and they didn't call a delay game, and so that was
Yeah.
just. Don't even get me started on that Cody Ford block in the back that should never have been
Oh,
called. that took us
brutal,
that,
man.
that took us out of field goal range. But yeah, but again, just a lot of these games is like I think we are capable. We're capable of winning, but again, it's just these teams I feel like they're going to be better in the start just because most of their key pieces are already there. Like with Houston, like yeah, they're bringing Diggs in, but they're number one and two before Diggs have been there, and I
Hmm.
think I think it'll just be big for them, and then the home atmosphere. But I hope
Yeah.
I'm wrong. I'd love to
By the
be.
way, I had to look it up. That 12-10 Houston Bills game. So it started off with a safety and it ended with the safety. And it was Andre Johnson actually that went out of bounds in the end zone. So absolutely insane. Started with the safety. David Carr fumbles out of the end zone. Jeff Posey, I think, forced the fumble, former
Wow.
linebacker. And then it ends with Andre Johnson giving the Bills a safety. It was 12-8 and ended up being 12-10. So insane. 2003. This is a long,
Yeah.
long time ago. The memories still haunt me, right?
Oh yeah.
Now, let's talk about this Houston Texans team. Obviously, they are loaded up with weapons. I honestly, like, you look at the offense is really good, but the defense, man, I mean, they go out and they get Daniil Hunter. Will Anderson wins Defensive Rookie of the Year.
Yep.
They got some dogs on that defense. Jalen Petrie, Jimmy Ward.
Yep.
They
Mm-hmm.
drafted Kalen Bullock. They drafted Kamari Lassiter to be their nickelback. They did go ahead. I think they got Jeff Okuda as well. And I know he's had a rough start to his career, but this is a guy with first-round talent who I think is in a much better situation. I mean, you got an absolutely incredible head coach. You got a steal with the Miko Ryans, in my opinion. Great move by them to go ahead and get a guy like that. So they're loaded up. And the offensive line, very solidified too. So they're just a very well-built team. I do think the Bills actually lose this one. And I agree with what you're saying there, Sean. I think this is going to be a case where Josh goes off, does everything in his power to win this game, but we just fall short because there's not enough production on the other side of things.
Yeah.
So let's say 30-23 Texans.
So you got us at 3-2. I got us at 2-3.
Yep, that's right.
What if we're both wrong? We're 5-0.
Hey, I would love that. I'm not opposed.
That'd be great,
right?
Hey, I'd love to win as much as possible from the start because we also have another gauntlet near the end too. So
yeah,
I would love to
kidding.
get as many as we can early.
Yeah, you ain't kidding. Yeah, I love what Mike says. Diggs is going to be paying out bonuses from his own pocket to get this team fired up. Yeah,
for sure.
Man, I can't even drop a score on this Texans game. I'm neutral on this one. It could go either way. Honestly, I think it'll be within 3 to 4 points. All right, Weston, I love that. Well, I think Weston, so my dad says Bills win. Sean and I say Bills loss. Weston could either tie this up or sway it the other way. I think this is probably a Bills loss, though. Let's roll with it.
And I hate ties more than anything, but this might be a year where I'll take a tie or two.
Oh, this would be a win if it was a tie, right? I mean,
technically. Yeah. So especially against a good team early on, it might prove to be, especially in our division. It'll basically be a 3-way race the whole entire season.
Yeah, I hate ties more than anything, but
oh yeah, 100%.
I get where you're coming from.
I almost would. My thought, I almost would rather lose than have a tie, but
me too.
At the same time, it's like I know a tie is better than a loss,
right.
But man, I just hate that there's no true outcome.
Yep. I feel that. Look at this. Weston, Bills 27, Texans 24 in a very close game in OT. I'll go with that. Wow.
You know what?
Love it.
We've never won an OT game with Josh, so I'll take it.
Is that true?
Yeah, he's 0-5 in overtime.
Wow. That's a
But he's only had the ball.
stat.
I think he's only had the ball like twice though. The Eagles game he had the ball. Yeah, the Philly game we had the ball. He tied the game up and then we lost. And then I think there was one other one where he tied it up and then the Chiefs won. Yeah, it was the Chiefs where he took the lead, tied it up, took the lead, and then went overtime. And then he didn't get the ball in overtime that one. Yeah, he's 0-5 though.
Brutal, man. All right, so I got him at 3-2. You got him at 2-3. Weston does think the Bills get the dub there, which I love. Love seeing that. I do think it'll be a close game.
Weston's got us at 4-1.
He does. I
think Big Al's 4-1 right now too. I think I'm not mistaken.
That's right. All right. So the New York Jets, for whatever reason, the Jets have always been a thorn in our side. And it's always that first game against them where it's like, nothing seems to click. Their defense just plays way up. And Josh I don't know what it is. Like, does he become Sam Darnold and start seeing ghosts out there? I don't know what happens. But Sean, this New York Jets team, a little bit different this year, right? Aaron Rodgers, presumably going to be healthy, hopefully. I don't wish any injuries on anyone. They go ahead and they sign Mike Williams. Obviously, Garrett Wilson going to be playing with A-Rod now.
Yeah.
They go and draft Malachi Corley. They drafted a big offensive lineman in Olu Fashanu, who probably will end up playing at some point just based on previous history with health for both tackles, whether it's Morgan Moses or Tyron Smith. How do we feel about this one?
Yeah, well, they've been saying every year for I feel like the longest that the Jets are going to be different and the Jets are going to do this, and they never do. I think, yeah, Aaron Rodgers makes them better,
Mm-hmm.
but they still have. I'm not sold on Saleh as a head coach, so I don't. I think they lack in that department. As good as their defense is, and I know the excuse that they use is, oh well, they had horrible offenses, so you would give up too. But I've never seen a defense that good give up more than they have in the past couple of years. And and I say that because they make claims that they're better than the 85 Bears. And then you go and give up. Like, I don't care if your offense stinks and you're getting blown out. You have that pride and you make millions of dollars to be good at football.
Yeah.
So I just feel like they'll start off hot like they always do, and then they'll fizzle out, and then it'll be, oh well, you know, Rogers got banged up, or Wilson got, or someone got banged up, and it'll just be the same old excuses for them as always. But this year, I think we're gonna take them the first game, knock them down a couple pegs because they'll be on a little bit of a hot streak. I think we'll knock them down at home in prime time. Well, in
Mm-hmm.
New Jersey in prime time because, like I said, for me, we'll be 2-3, and then a loss to the Jets to make it 2-4 after you lost to Miami already. It could kind of almost close the door in the season, or unless you got to go on a nice long run like we did last year. So I think they're gonna be understanding of that, and I think we'll be ready for the Jets, and I think we'll win, 24-19.
I like it. It's got to be a weird score, right? It just
Yeah.
just seems right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm
It'll
with you on that.
even us out at 3-3.
Okay. I like that. I think it is a Bills win. Defensive battle. Love what Weston's saying here. Defensive grudge match. It does seem to be that way. Like, especially in our first matchup, usually against the Jets, and then the next matchup, it's always a blowout in the Bills' favor. It's been that way for the past few years. I don't know why. It's bizarre, right? But I do think this is going to be one of those games where maybe the Jets are on their high horse a little bit. Maybe they're running into this game at like, I don't know, 4-1. So I think this is a victory for the Bills. Going to be a close one. I'm going to say it's going to be something bizarre. Let's go 18-15 Bills. How about that?
Nice. Love it. That actually happened a couple years ago. Remember, we got all field goals and we won like
That's
18 to
right.
10, 18 to 10 or
Yes.
something.
Oh, yeah.
Um,
I remember.
and
Yep.
like you mentioned, even when the Jets were even worse than they have been, since Josh Allen's. But I think we only lost to him twice, so
Mm-hmm.
I don't count that. I don't count that 2019 year where we sat everybody and lost to them when they had their starters
Yeah.
playing, where we lost
Right.
like 16-15. So I think other than that, we've only lost to them twice, and it was the last 2 years. We lost to them once each, but I feel like when we lose to them, it's more of what we're doing wrong than what. And I kind of hate when people say this, but I'm going to say it anyway. When people say, "Oh, it wasn't the team that won that deserves the credit; it's the team that lost that made it so they lost." And I feel like, especially last year, it was on the back of Josh Allen throwing three picks and fumbling the ball, and he fumbled it twice in the same play, and then he
Yeah,
lost
he
the
did.
fumble. So it's like, and we still only lost by 6 in overtime.
Yeah,
So
that's
if
true.
we stick to the game plan, which I'm sure it'll be quite similar from what we did last year, not try to go for the big deep ball, just run the ball, keep it short and intermediate, and you'll be able to win. But you gotta be patient, and you got to understand that one mistake can lead to them making a big play. But I think hopefully now after 7 years, Josh will learn his lesson and, and we'll win this game.
I hope so, man. I mean, it's time. It's time to put up or shut up, right? So
Yeah,
I'm with you. All right, moving on to the Titans. Titans coming to Buffalo. Really interesting team. I think a team that's sort of flying under the radar. Go ahead and hire Brian Callahan as their new coach, obviously replacing Mike Vrabel. Um, it's an interesting team to me. They got a young quarterback. they got some good talent, some good young talent. They went and signed Calvin Ridley in the offseason. DeAndre Hopkins coming off a 1,000-yard season. They just signed Tyler Boyd. And by the way, have you seen J.C. Latham, their rookie left tackle, move this sled? They had to put a special sled out just for him because he's that powerful. Like, this dude is a beast of a human being. And then on the other side, they went and drafted Devondre Sweat. So they have some strength there, you know?
Oh yeah.
How are we feeling about this one?
Before I get to that, I want to say I think the Titans for me are going to be that team that shocks a lot of people this year, that exceeds expectation.
Mhm.
Again, I'm not going to say they're going to win the division and be a great playoff team or anything, but I think they won 4 games last year, 5, and then I think they could be competing maybe for a playoff spot. But that being said, I think we win this game. They got a lot of they got Tony Pollard, they got D Hop. They got Calvin Ridley, Treylon Burks. So they got some firepower for their young
Oh, yeah.
quarterback. So
Lloyd
um,
Cushenberry, too, they brought in as
yeah,
their center. Yep.
and this was one of those teams where if you again, and they showed it last year against Miami. They were down by like 3 scores with 2 minutes left, and they won the football game. Like if you mess
Yeah.
around, you can find yourself losing. But I think this will be after beating the Jets, we get a little bit of a high. We go up and beat the Titans, and I'm going to say this is going to be a low scoring one. I just got that feeling it's going to be 21-14.
I like it. I like us in the 1:00 slate at home. For whatever reason, it always seems like a win is just, it's got to happen, right? Nice early game. You get in, you get out, you tailgate early in the morning, go to the game, get out of there by 5:30 ish, right? Go home,
Yep.
take a nice long nap, get ready for Sunday Night Football. That would be a perfect fall day. Perfect cap on the day, right? So, yeah, I like the Bills in this one. I do think the Titans are underrated, and they have some really nice young talent, and they're an up and coming team.
Yep.
They're in a bit of a rebuild right now, maybe more of a retool, if you will. But with a young quarterback, I do think that we can take advantage of them a little bit. So to me, I think the Bills pulled this one off. I think Josh Allen has a monster day, especially against the secondary. I think they got some nice players there, but I feel like we're gonna pick them apart with the short game. I think Dalton Kincaid has a monster game this one. I think they're a little weaker with their inside linebackers and at the safety position. So let's say Bills 24, Titans 10.
Love it.
So that would put me, let's see here. So I have the Bills at 5-2, and you have the Bills at what, 4-3 now, Sean? Is
Four
that
and
right?
three. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Not too shabby. Not too shabby. Weston saying he thinks the Titans sneak up on some people this year. Titans 24, Bills 19. He said it also could
Damn.
go the other way, where Josh Allen has 5 and throws for 340. Could be a 20-point blowout. I'm more along the lines of that happening. I think this is going to be our offense this year. Love it or hate it, it's going to be running the football and death by 1,000 paper cuts, right? I'm going to use that quote forever. I think Trey said that in the Discord the other day, and I loved how he mentioned that. And I also love what Brett had to say, too. He talked to both Sean and I about this, saying, I think the Bills will utilize every portion of the field this year with their weapons, whether it's across the middle, working in space with Dalton Kincaid, along the boundary a little bit with Khalil Shakir, in the screen game with Curtis Samuel, doing some gadget, a lot of pre-snap motion with Curtis Samuel. So I am excited to see what Joe Brady can do with this team. And I think this is going to be one of those classic games, specifically this Titans game. For whatever reason, I just have a feeling. So love it.
Yeah.
All right, moving on. Seattle Seahawks at Seattle, a 4:05 game. Seattle's interesting. I don't know. What do you think, Sean?
Yeah. That's another one where it's a tough one to really decide. I feel like they're still going to be a playoff team. Um, Quarterback, I don't know. Maybe is Sam Howell
Geno?
going to beat out Geno Smith?
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy because Geno Smith was a Pro Bowl quarterback 2 years ago, right? And I think some injuries obviously got in the way of that. And yeah, I mean, Sam Howell, to his credit, he was leading the league in passing yards last year. And, you can't put too much blame on him for throwing however many interceptions, like 20 interceptions, 19 interceptions. Um, young quarterback. I think he's got a future in this league. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see who's under center for sure.
Yeah, yeah. I think they'll be a good team though. I think we'll
I do
win.
too.
I think it's hard to play in Seattle, but I think we'll do a pretty good job. Like I said, we're going a little mini win streak here with the Jets, Titans, and the Seahawks, and we'll see how it ends. But let me say 20, 28, 21 Bills.
Okay. I like that. I'm going to say 28-23 Bills in a weird scoring game because it's West Coast and I don't know, some jet lag's going to hit them. There's going to be like a random safety that happens. So there we go. I love it. And my dad says 28-14 Bills. So it looks like we are all in agreement, as well as Weston 24-14. I like that. Cool. All right. So 6-2, 5-3. Not too shabby. I'd be feeling pretty happy if that was the case right now at about the midway point. Then we have to go back home, right? To Miami. 1 o'clock game at home, November. Kind of like it. I like the scenario. How are we feeling about that one, Sean? You think we're going to split with Miami?
Yeah, like I said, I think they'll beat us that first time in Miami. Again, I think we could sweep them, but just trying to be a fair, unbiased NFL.
Mhm.
Because like I said, if I'm just being a Bills fan, I always pick sweeping
Win,
the
win, win, win.
Dolphins. But
Yeah.
and again, it still might happen because it's happened often. But I think Week 9 in Buffalo, I think we'll handle them. I think it'll be a really good game. I'm gonna say 34-33. We're gonna
Ooh.
we're gonna win off of an MVS 30-yard touchdown catch.
Okay. Let's go, baby. I love that.
Six
Oh,
and three.
that would fire me right up. Let me tell you. I like the high score predictions here. My dad's saying 38-30. 34-33. Weston's saying 31-20. Finns can't win with the temperature being below 70. I love that. Week 9, think this is a blowout. Well, you guys heard what I said about the Bills playing at home at the 1 o'clock time slot. I think the Bills get a dub here. It's inevitable, right? So this is going to be a 2-0 regular season against the Finns. So
Also, I know Weston was being funny under 70, but they're actually I think 0-10 and 40 and below with Tua.
wow,
So
really,
but they play. They had a couple good games, but they lost. Like that one game where they played us, so it was a really good game. When Josh had like a final game winning drive. Or no, he had a drive in the snow where Dawson Knox caught a touchdown. We went for 2, and then we stopped them, and then we went for a field goal and won the game later on.
yeah,
That they played good there, but it was below 40. So, yep, they're winless with 40 and below with Tua.
that is crazy. Wow.
Yeah.
It's not really doing him any favors. I mean, being from Hawaii too, like you got to break that stereotype, right? He goes from Hawaii to Alabama, another warm weather area, right, to then
Yeah.
Miami. So
Well, they
you gotta,
got plenty of opportunities at the end of this year because I know they end the year with Cleveland, Green Bay, New Jersey, and like 3 other teams that are cold. So they're gonna have plenty of
wow,
opportunity.
yeah, you ain't kidding. Yeah, I'll take the Bills here at home. So sitting pretty, 6-3 or 7-2. I kind of love that, Sean. I'm here for it, man.
Yeah, I'll take it.
And again, it's it's no knock to the Dolphins. Just something about it, man.
We
I
just
feel
do
like,
well. We just do well
yeah.
against them.
Mm-hmm. I think it'll be close too. I think 1 point game. Let's both roll with a 1 point game here. You said 34-33. I'm going to say 31-30 Bills. High scoring affair. High scoring affair.
Love
But
it.
moving on. At Indianapolis. Interesting matchup here. I think the Colts are another team there. The AFC South really doesn't get a whole lot of love outside of the Houston Texans. You look at teams like the Jacksonville Jaguars, the Tennessee Titans, the Indianapolis Colts. They all sort of fall into the same theme. I feel like it's always been looked at as like a weaker division over the last like 4 seasons. And people aren't super high on these teams, but they got some young studs in this division, man. Michael Pittman Jr. being one of those guys. And our guy, Keon Coleman, actually has had some pro comps to Michael Pittman Jr., which I hope he can turn into that. That would be phenomenal, right? But what do you think about this one?
Um, I think the Colts are severely slept on, and I think they'll beat us. I think Jonathan Taylor is going to have another great game against us, and
Oh,
we can't
man.
can't forget Anthony Richardson should be back for a full season.
Hmm.
And he was showing some highlight reel type stuff, and then if we can stop Jonathan Taylor, then now you got to worry about Anthony Richardson running the football, and he's got a cannon on him as well. So I think it'll be a good game. I just think it'll, we're on a, what did I have us on, like a 4-game win streak? Yeah, we were on a 4-game win streak, and I just think we're on to an Indianapolis team that's going to be a tough, gritty football team. And again, the mix of Jonathan Taylor and Anthony Richardson, Michael Pittman, and they drafted a good receiver too, didn't they?
They got
I
AD
want
Mitchell.
AD
AD
Mitchell,
Mitchell,
yeah.
second
So
round.
I mean,
Yeah,
they got some players there.
yeah, they
Um,
do.
I'm gonna say I'm gonna say 23-20 Colts. And
Okay,
we'll follow to what I have, 6-4.
6-4. Yeah, so I'm going to keep the momentum going. I'm going to give the Bills a dub here. I think again, Anthony Richardson more of a mobile quarterback. Sean McDermott thrives against mobile QBs, right? But could be interesting if there is an injury. Mr. Joe Flacco is the backup there, and he does some amazing things, right? I mean, we saw last year coming in at 40 years old, wins comeback player of the year over our guy, DeMar Hamlin. Yeah,
Yeah,
I actually really like this Colts roster a lot, and I don't want to give them any sort of disrespect. I mean, they go ahead, by the way, make the first defensive pick of this past year's draft a few weeks ago, Latu,
yep.
and I think he's going to be an absolute stud. This is a front runner for defensive rookie of the year this year. They got some nice players on that team, good young talent, but I do think the Bills pull this one off. I think I'm going to give it a 23-16 game. Bills pull it off against the Colts, advance to 8-2. I think at this point, right? Yeah, 8-2 it would be for me, 6-4 for Sean. But now on to the big one: Kansas City at home, CBS game of the week, 4:25. Tony Romo and Jim Nantz calling the game. This is a big one, Sean. How do
Yeah.
we feel about it?
Well, I guess I can confidently say we could beat them in the regular season. So again, I think we're pretty similarly built teams if you really think about it. Like we got Dalton Kincaid, Travis Kelsey, not the same
Mhm.
player, but the prototype. We both got a top 3 quarterback. Obviously, one of them's the best, and one of them's second or third. Uh, Defensively, we're kind of built the same, and they got great offensive line. So we're really pretty similar, but it really comes down to coaching. And
Yeah.
unfortunately, they get it done when it matters. And I firmly believe, I could just be being funny, but I think the Chiefs lose to us purposely in the regular season just so we get the hype and the motivation that we think we could beat them again. And then they use that game and they're like, oh, this is what the Bills did. I know they usually do that anyway with film, but like they don't really show much of their hand, and then they're just like, okay, well, Buffalo really had to take out all the stops to beat us. Now we know what to do when it comes to the playoffs. But I think we'll get the not quite revenge because it's not the playoffs, but we'll get the revenge for losing at home in the playoffs last year, and we'll go to 7-4.
Okay. All right. I like it. This is where I think the momentum stops a little bit for the Bills. We're going to end up losing this one at home, and it's going to be a tough pill to swallow because we're going to have to wait 2 full weeks before we get to play another game. And it's going to hurt. It's going to sting a little bit. Nick Wright's going to be on his high horse. Weston's going to be fired up. He's thinking Bills win this one 23-20. It's at home. No, so it's actually at home for the Bills, Weston. Middle of the season game for the Chiefs. We sleep during the middle of the season games. So that's why he thinks the Bills win this one. Yeah, so it's in Buffalo, actually, which is interesting because the last few regular season games have actually been in KC. And everyone always complains about that, right? But the schedule is actually sort of predetermined. It depends a lot on obviously which AFC division you're playing, and then the other teams you play in the AFC. It's based on where they finished the previous year in their division, and they base home and away games off of that too. So Yeah, at home in Buffalo, not a 1:00 time slot. I'm not going to give us a dub here. I think the Chiefs pull this one off in a field goal game. I'm going to say 27-24 Chiefs. Unfortunately, the win streak comes to an end for the Bills. Sitting at 8-3. Sean, you got them at 7-4. Pretty close here. Heading to the bye week. I think we win the bye week. Feel pretty
Yeah,
good about that.
well, I'm happy we got it late again.
Yeah,
It'll be
me too. I actually do kind of like that because it gives you some time to rest up. You know, you have 11 really hard weeks, and it's a good test, honestly, to start the year off. So it gives you a week to now get healthy as you go up against this next juggernaut of teams. So, yeah, that'll be nice to have there in week 12. Weston,
Yep.
yeah, it's gonna be fun, man. We're gonna have to have you on for that show, that Chiefs pregame show. There's no doubt. Chiefs
Just
pregame
not
and
the
postgame. You and Chad.
just not the post game, because then once you guys win, it'll be awkward.
Oh,
And
nightmare. I'll tell you what, though, those Chiefs post-game shows always do the best for Nickel City Mafia. I don't know what it is. I mean, you go back to our show last, at the beginning or at the end of this past season, the divisional round game. I mean, we're still getting comments on that show. So it's crazy, man. Chiefs fans show up. They love watching Bills content, especially when we lose. So gotta love it. Yeah. All right. San Fran. This is home against San Fran, and it's a Sunday night game. So San Fran, man, they were also. I mean, it's crazy, right? So we play the Chiefs, who won the Super Bowl, and then we play the team that lost to the Chiefs in the Super Bowl back to back. So San
Right.
Fran at home in a night game. Sean, you think we got a shot?
Well, there's always a shot, but I think this is our we're gonna get blown out this game.
Oh no,
Um, I mean it's bound to have. I feel like everybody gets blown out. I don't know. I just feel like it's gonna be that point in the season. San Fran's just clicking on all cylinders. Christian
Mhm.
McCaffrey's got another MVP type season, and then we're just still figuring ourselves out defensively. Because I mean, we got to remember last year the defense wasn't that bad, but McDermott purposely tried to keep them off the field by us having really long offensive drives and kind of not really. I feel like that's not us. I feel like 10-minute drives aren't really what we do best, and we did that because McDermott wanted to protect the image of his defense and actually also protect himself. So they didn't really have to, because we were second in time of possession on offense last year, which means the defense wasn't out there all that much.
Right?
So they didn't have to step up as much. But I think in this case, they're just going to get exposed by San Fran. It's going to be 34-20, San Fran.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you on that. Yeah, my dad disagrees. He also says good night. It's past his bedtime.
See you later,
Uh,
Big Al.
I I think the Niners are going to be rolling at this point of the year, and
Yeah.
yeah, they always get really really hot in November. They had a little bit of a streak last year where they lost some games and then they just won out basically.
Yep.
So
Yeah, they were
this
five
is
and
a
zero.
team.
Then they lost 3 in a row, and then they won
Yeah.
3 in a row, and
Yep.
yeah.
Yeah, they're going to be legit this year. Yeah, I'm a little scared of the Niners. Honestly, I think they got the most firepower offensively. To be honest with you, I mean, there's a guy too that they drafted, Ricky Pearsall, who I think is really being slept on. The more and more I watch this kid, like I'm impressed, man. And they're going to utilize him in so many different ways. They still have Debo. They have Brandon Ayuk, who had a monster year. George Kittle with the monster season 2 last year. They have an incredible offensive line. And you said Laramie Tunsil was the best left tackle in football. I don't know. It might still be Trent Williams at this point. Like I still think he is that guy. Like a little bit of a down year maybe last year, but that dude is as good as it gets. He's a walking just freak of nature and a first ballot Hall of Famer.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, I'm going to take the Niners in this one. I'm going to say I like 34-20, Sean. I'm with you on that. Yep.
I hope not, but I don't know.
Yeah, Weston agrees with us. I'm scared of the Niners for sure. He thinks it's going to be a little closer. 49ers 28, Bills 24. Brock Purdy is so underrated. I agree. I think he's a really good fit in the system, obviously. I think this is a quarterback-friendly system. He's got some really nice weapons around him. But this dude does really well. He sees lanes that a lot
Yeah.
of other quarterbacks don't see, and I think he's really good with his timing routes, and he's got good chemistry with his receivers. So there's a lot to be said about that, man. And for being Mr. Irrelevant, I mean, shoot, no one expects anything of this kid. So for him to
Yeah.
totally outperform that, it's extremely impressive. I think he's
Right.
definitely, a top maybe 12 guy in the league right now.
Yeah, I'd say that. I mean, for me, it's it's tough for me to say that he's underrated just because we had never seen him without the whole world around him, and
Yeah,
that time where he was missing his left tackle and Debo, they went 0-3. So,
true.
but like even with like Josh Allen, we saw him flash without everything. I mean, he never really had everything around him. When I say everything, I mean like a guy like Diggs, but he never had McCaffrey, Debo, the best left tackle in the world. All pros all over the defense. So like, it's it's tough to rate guys like Purdy because we never actually. And same thing with Burrow. That's why I always give Josh Allen over Burrow because Josh Allen always puts up equivalent or better stats than Burrow with way less talent. So other people don't agree with me, but I think Purdy's good. Like,
Yeah.
but I don't know if he's like the upper echelon that like 49ers fans think he is.
Yeah, I think there's definitely some bias there. I agree. I agree. Hard not to like the kid, though. I mean,
Oh
the
no,
dude
definitely like
is,
him. Yeah,
yeah,
definitely like him.
for sure. All right, moving on. At LA. Now, I think our very own Mike Thornton is going to be attending this game. And Mike, the last time when he went to LA, the Bills blew the doors off the Rams. Now, this Rams team is interesting, right? So they drafted defensively with their first two picks this year. They go get Jared Verse, and then they get his teammate Braden Fisk, who I was salivating over. He was one of my pre-draft crushes, and the Rams got a good one in him. I think replacing Aaron Donald, there's no better guy to do it, right? This is a high motor kid, little undersized, but a freak athlete, and going to do some damage with that defensive line. So the Rams, I think this is a team that's also, again, sort of being slept on. I like their roster a lot. Puka Nakua coming off a monster rookie year. Cooper Kupp getting healthy. DeMarcus Kukukachu Robinson had a phenomenal end of the season. Kyron Williams, what a stud. And they drafted Blake Corum. It's a nice team.
Yeah, definitely.
But I don't know. What do you think? You think the Bills, can we pull it off here in LA?
Again, it's a lot of these for me are toss up just because it once we, especially like late in these picks, we'll know more about this team way before
Yeah.
this game, so it might be a little bit different. But just based off of what we know and what saw from last year, and then Cooper Cup's gonna be fully healthy, Puka Nacua, just like you mentioned, all these guys, and the potential of these defensive linemen that they got. Um, I think we'll take a. Ooh, you know what? No, I'll say we'll win this game just because we got to beat a couple good teams, or I won't be happy. So, um, what
I
I
love
have,
it.
well, San Fran made a 7-5, right?
For you, yes, that would be 7-5. For me, I was at eight
Okay.
and four.
All
Yep.
right. So then we'll win this game. Um, again, it'll be a nice tough game, and it could definitely go either way. But I'm gonna say I'm gonna say 20, 25, 22 Buffalo.
Okay. I like it. I like it. Weston thinks the Bills also win. I'm going to give the Bills a dub here as well. I'm going to say 24-21. 3-point game. 3-point game. It's going to be a hard fought. And another storyline. Trey White goes to the Rams, and yeah, it'll definitely be an emotional game for him. Obviously playing against the team that drafted him. So we'll see if he's healthy at that point too. I mean, took him a while to get back from this most recent injury, and he just tore his Achilles, which is a brutal injury to have as a corner. But probably slated to start at the corner position if he is healthy. So
Yep.
that'll definitely be a storyline to follow. So, all right. So we both gave the Bills a win there. So I have them at 9-4. You have the Bills at 8-5. Moving on to Detroit. Now, this is not the Lions of old. This team is built to win football games the tough and gritty way. And Dan Campbell has built a mentality there in Detroit that is just rough, tough, and these guys are contenders. So you think the Bills can get it done in Detroit?
I think they'll drop this one. I think Detroit, like you said, they got the coaching, they got the physicality on offense and defense, incredible offensive line, you know, great offensive firepower. Jared Goff is top 10 kind of quarterback, one of the best tight ends in the league,
Hmm.
who already,
Already.
soli-
Yeah.
yeah, solidified himself. He was even better than Kincaid last year, and
Yeah.
I'm sure he's
Yeah,
going
it
to
was.
hike that production up even more. So, and this is in Detroit too. I think it'll just be a tough game. I think we'll play well, but I'm gonna say I'm gonna say 27-25 Lions to
Yeah,
make
I
us
think the
eight and
Lions.
six.
I agree. I think the Lions pull this one off. I think they get the dub. So I'm gonna say 30-26 Lions. I mean, the last game we played against them, it was on Thanksgiving. Tough game because Trey White did make his return, but then we lost Von Miller to a torn ACL. This is when Von was balling as a Buffalo Bill.
Yeah,
Um, and Josh and Steph, I mean, they were like this. And it was really the last time I think we saw Josh and Steph be like this, right? I mean, they had the whole prior to the game, they were talking to each other, saying how thankful they were for one another, and man, how the tides have turned a little bit, right? So, yeah, it's interesting. They were somewhat young into their career. This Lions team, like a lot of the players now have developed, and they added more pieces. And I think that team that we played, 2 years ago, they've only gotten better since then. And the Bills, I don't know if they're that same team or even at that same level. So I'm going to say the Lions
all right.
pull off a win here, definitely 30-26 Lions. So I have the Bills now at 9-5. You have them at 8-6, right?
Yeah,
Yep. Okay. All right. Now we have all divisional games left. 2 against New England, 1 against New York. What are we thinking? Do you think we win against New England both times? One time we split it.
there's only 3 games left.
3 games left. Yeah.
Mm. Yeah, say we sweep New England and lose to the Jets once, so we finish 10-7.
Okay, so you got us at 10-7. I think we're winning out. I think we win the last 3 games and we pull off that 12-5 record, like I said. So sitting pretty. It's not. It's a long way to get there, right? And this is also barring that a lot of guys stay healthy. But I think we do have some nice depth on this team. Um, I think obviously everything is going to run through JA-17 and this offense. Dalton Kincaid might catch 100 passes, I think. I think this is going to
Yeah,
be a monster year for him offensively. James Cook going to take another step. Touchdown vulture Ray Davis might get a little bit in the mix too in the running game. And I'm eager to see how the weapons are used. I think it's going to be, again, utilizing every portion of the field. It's going to be split up quite a bit. We might not have any insane stat receivers. They all might be 500 to 600-yard guys this year, and that's just talking our starting receivers. It's not even talking just the depth pieces behind them. But there's going to be one guy that excels, and it's going to be Dalton Kincaid. So it's going to be a fun year, man. I'm excited. But I'm glad we got to do this show. Obviously, run through some of these games. I had them at 12-5. You had them at 10-7. Put your thoughts down in the comments below. We appreciate everyone watching tonight. Weston, I appreciate you, sir. You say 28-21 Bills. Give me your thoughts. What do you think on these last 3 games here? You think the Bills pull it off? They win 3 in a row. He did say Jets fighting for a playoff spot, so Jets 20-21, Bills 17. And I'm assuming you're thinking that we're going to probably beat New England twice. So if that's the case, you're in agreement with Sean there. So
yeah.
love to
Kind
see
of
it.
kind of stinks. We played New England twice in the last 3 weeks. It would have been nice if we got at least them one time, because depending on how the season goes, they might not really, if we don't, again, I don't anticipate us missing the playoffs or you know being like a losing record team. But if we are struggling and we, for some reason we're not in the playoff hunt, those games don't really matter at the end of the day. So it would have been nice to have them early.
Yeah,
But
right. That's true. Yeah.
and I think at 10-7, and I was kind of joking when I said it on the Fins tailgate earlier, but I think it could be a 3-way tie for 10-7, and it'll just come down to division wins.
Mm,
But I'm not,
yeah.
and at the end of the day, we have to understand how hard all of our schedules are, even the third place team in our division. So like 10-7 might be a really good record, especially, you know, although yeah, we have a great quarterback, but so many new changes. 10-7 when of competing for a division. I'll take it if it's 10-7 and you win a division. You
Sure.
know,
Yeah. The Bengals were 10-7 a couple years ago when they went to the Super Bowl, right? I mean,
yeah.
this year the AFC is so loaded too. There might be the number one seed in the AFC might be a 11 or 12 win team. Like you just don't know. I feel like there's going to be a lot of teams, winning and losing against each other. That's going to sort of even it out a little bit, right? So,
Oh yeah,
I agree with you. Yeah, I can see it.
yeah. And of course there'll be, you know, injuries to every team, and there'll be teams that we think right now, like, oh, we think the Rams are going to be good, right? But then they might not be, or like, for example, or who else is there that's pretty decent? Like Colts. I'm giving the Colts a lot of credit, but they might not be good. You know what I mean? So
Right.
uh, this is, I kind of made my choices based off of, again, what we already know, and then possible projections, plus just put into consideration all the new shit we got going on. So, but again, 12-5, I'll sign up for that anytime. That's a really good season. No matter which way you look at it, whether somehow you don't win the division at 12-5 or not, but that's a playoff team. That's a lot of happiness throughout the throughout the season. And you know, I'm still worried, just because I feel like a lot of the fan base, when Diggs left, everybody kind of was just like, and me included. I mentioned how he kind of disappeared near the end of the year, but then
Mhm.
I don't want to ignore the fact that he was still there,
Right.
and I feel like people just automatically assume that guys like Shakir, who we all love, is going to go from 45 or 37 catches to 85, and then put up over 1,000 yards easily, and then Curtis Samuel's going to all of a sudden become a 1,400-yard receiver. And again, I'm not saying that everybody thinks that, but I feel like the Stephon Diggs just being on the team helped guys like Kincaid and Shakir step up when they needed to in the end of the year. And we haven't seen them play without Stephon Diggs in the offense. So again, just his effect to having defensive coordinators having to plan for him being on the field, not having that, we don't know what that's like yet. So I can't confidently say everything's going to work out and we're going to be a great offense again. We could be, but I just got to see us play. I like some of the pieces we got, but I just feel like the Stephon having a true number one receiver. A lot of people are trying to, like, kind of cope and say, "Oh, we don't need a true number one receiver." Brandon Bean says it. The bigger creators say it, but like I said, I don't need $1 million, but I sure as hell want it.
I love that. That's a
So
great analogy. You're right.
I mean, like I said, we just got to see. And I don't know, Sodas, at you real quick. You mentioned hitting all the sectors of the field, and just,
Mhm.
I think you mentioned a couple weeks ago, like, there might be a different leading receiver every week. And,
Right.
people were mentioning before, like, oh, not having to focus on Diggs might help Josh be better. I feel like it might make him struggle sometimes, because he feels like it has to be someone new every week, because not that he has to feel that way, but just because that's how the offense is going to be, where there's no true number one guy. I mean, obviously Kincaid's going to be a big target guy, but I just feel like the thought of it's going to be someone new every week, I feel like it might kind of not help us get into a rhythm, if that makes sense. If I'm explaining it
Yeah. No, that
correctly.
makes sense. Yeah.
So I'm a
Yeah,
little bit
that
worried
definitely
about
makes
that,
sense.
but just because
Yeah.
when you know you got a guy, and your team's, what it is,
Right.
uh, it's like, how the ebbs and flows are. But if you don't know what's going to happen every week and you got to play it by ear, I don't know. I just feel like it, because what was it last year? People said Josh Allen doesn't like to think, or Josh Allen does
Yeah.
better when he's not thinking. He's going to have to do a lot of thinking this year, especially because he's going to be that guy, that leader that we need on the field. So I don't know how
Right.
you feel about that.
Yeah, I mean, he naturally would look to 14 every time, right? I mean, didn't matter if he was covered. Like he would always usually look at Steph first, regardless if he was probably the number one on that play or not. Like if he was the hot on that route or the hot on that play in particular, right? So yeah, it's gonna be definitely a change for him, right? I mean, you got some bigger targets now, which I think is nice to have. It's something that Josh really hasn't had since his rookie year. And at that time, we had Kelvin Benjamin, right? And Kelvin Benjamin didn't even want to be here, and he didn't put nearly enough effort that he should have, because I think he could have been really good. Like he was really good in Carolina, but when he came to Buffalo, like there was something like he just didn't want to be here, man, and you could see it. I mean, the effort was
Yeah.
evident.
Yeah.
So I think now it's a new approach. We got a nice mix of guys, and again, I think it's utilizing every portion of the field. It may take some time to get that chemistry because you look at some of these starting receivers, especially. I mean, Keon Coleman he wasn't with this team last year. Curtis Samuel was not with his team last year. Khalil Shakir was, but then you look at even the back half of the roster: Matt Collins, Marquez Valdez-Scantling, guys that haven't played in Buffalo just yet. So it might take some time. So I think people need to just obviously adjust expectations a little bit, and not just assume that Josh is going to put up insane stats. I think he still will, but it might take some
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If Josh can produce similar to what he's been the last 4 years this year, I can't understand that there'd be one hater of him anymore. Because I mean, again, we have some good players, but there's nobody where you're just like, man, these guys are scary.
Yeah.
So if he could produce the 40+ touchdowns again, and maybe have less turnovers, man, that's the MVP type season. And I'd be you know, I think he's a top three quarterback always, but I think it'd be undeniable at this point, even for people that don't like him to say. Um, but yeah, it's I actually like that Josh is in this position now where he's got a lot of pressure on him, because in year 7 we're really going to find out what he's all about. Can he? I know he doesn't like to be a vocal leader, but um, can he be that guy now when all the captains are gone and he's besides Reed Ferguson, the most tenured Bill, and you know
Never forget.
has to be able to, like my Thunder. He's got to be like Gilgis, where you're surrounded by young great talent, but you're like a young veteran yourself. And although you're considered to be one of the greatest in the league, you have to put he could put up probably 50, 60 points sometimes if he wanted to, but he's consistent 30 and gets everyone else involved, and we got a good consistent team. He's got to be like that, minimize the turnovers, and you know be able to get everybody involved, and not put us into a hole by making mistakes. So
Yeah, I agree.
this would be the year
I
for it,
agree.
I think.
We have been really craving that guy, that underneath guy, since Cole Beasley left too. So it does excite me a little bit, especially with Curtis Samuel and being able to utilize an actual screen game too. And I know we've tried it in
Yeah.
the past, but I feel like we could be a little more creative now. So
Oh, for
there's some
sure.
exciting things, definitely.
Yeah. Let me ask. And I know you probably want to wrap up. Let me ask you one more thing, because it's always
Yeah.
a topic. It's always a topic. Because you saw what Cook did last year, and Ray Davis is coming. Do you still want Josh to run the football, or do you truly want to actually run the football with the running backs? Because I don't. People used to try to kill Ken Dorsey over running with the running backs, and trying to preserve Josh Allen's lifespan in football. And then then everybody wanted what's his, sorry, my wife's got my son's speech device going crazy. But anyway, so basically what I'm saying is everybody was crying about Josh not running the football, and then when he
Yeah.
started running the football more, everybody was crying that we weren't running the football with our running backs more. So you can't have it both ways. So do you
Right.
truly want to just commit to being a 60-40 pass run team? Maybe even I don't want to be anything more than 60-40, but would you maybe want to be a true 50-50, 60-40 pass run team, and try to minimize Josh's running? Or do you want to kind of try to do both, but I think it'd be kind of hard too?
I want to be a 50-50 team, but I want to have at least 2 to 3 design runs with Josh Allen a game. That's my answer. Is that a
I
good
like
answer or a
that.
bad answer?
No, it's good. I was gonna say, because I like it, but I only want him to use it when he has, like, when it's like
Yeah.
do or die, or like third and long, or fourth quarter, or whatever. But just for fun, like, you get a first down, and then all of a sudden you call a QB draw, like,
Yeah, I love that.
yeah, like, I don't think you need to do that. But when it's crunch time, do or die, you gotta let him do that.
Yeah, let them
Because like
play free,
yeah,
but
like like always leave it open. If plays break down and nobody's open, please take it. Don't be like the Jets game where there's 20 yards in front of you and you throw it 50 yards and throw a pick.
Yeah,
Just take it when you need to. But James Cook had 1,000. He was the fourth in yards last year for running
I
back.
know it.
So
Yeah.
we could definitely do it. And again, I don't want Josh's ability to run completely wiped out. But I think if people are just scared of him doing it, that's enough. And then if he does it once in a while, great. And then Cook, Ray Davis, Ty Johnson, and then like you said, all the weapons we could possibly use for passing as well. I think it could work out. But I just know people are going to complain about it either way when it happens. Like, oh,
Oh yeah.
Why isn't Josh running? And then when we start running with him, what happened to the running backs? Like
I
there's
know.
only so many plays that go around.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's inevitable, like you said. It's definitely going to happen this year too. You already know it. I can see it coming. I can hear it already in my head. Want to pull up Keith's comment real quick here. Bleacher Report has the Dolphins winning the division at 11-6, Jets at 10-7, Bills third at 9-8.
I could also
I can
see
see it.
that.
I can see it. Yeah, yeah,
Like I said, I can see it's a three-way. It's going to be a three-way kind of season. So we'll see.
yeah.
Again,
And I
I'm
wouldn't
not.
be surprised, Sean, if what you said, like everyone's 10-7, and it's like a three-way tie, and then it's basically going to go off of division record. Could definitely see that happening too.
Yep. So that's real important. And like I said, they play the Jets in Miami. Play Week 18, and we play the Patriots. So
Yeah.
might come down to that.
It might,
But
it might. And actually, according to what I predicted, I think I had the Bills going 6-0 in the division, which is bananas. I feel like
yeah,
we got to split with one of those teams, right?
yeah. And hey, if it came down to Week 18 and we're playing the Patriots and the Jets and Dolphins are playing, I'll take that swing of events any day because
Yeah,
I like my chances against the Patriots and you know rather play them than the Jets or the Dolphins in Week 18.
agreed. Yeah, with you on that. Absolutely. Yeah, Keith, thank you for joining us tonight, sir. You got to be pretty excited about your Dolphin schedule. Like, I think, you look at the AFC schedule, AFC East schedules in general, and they're all pretty rigorous. I mean, we're going against the NFC West, and then we have the AFC South as well, which I think is an underrated division with a lot of young talent. And things could swing either way. And then, of course, we got our own division, right, where we're going to be playing each other twice. So I feel like a lot of those matchups, it's going to be split right down the middle, maybe 1-1. We take one at home. You guys take one at home. So you just never know, man. It's going to be a fun year. Obviously, this is an all too early season prediction. We wanted to get it out there just for the fun of it. Obviously, talk about the schedule release with it being a huge thing. We know every other channel is doing it out there. Don't be too hard on us, okay? But if you want to be, that's fine too. Be sure to comment and give us your thoughts on what you think the Bills are going to do this year, or what your team's going to do this year. We love comments from other fan bases. Weston's one of those guys, a Chiefs fan who likes to join us on stream here, and it's brilliant. So we appreciate everyone out there. Sean, any closing thoughts?
Well, glad we did this. I was hoping Mike and Brett could join. That was why I was so excited. I was like, oh, let's all four of us get on like old
I know,
times.
man.
But it was a
Yeah,
good time, and you know, I hope I'm wrong and we're 12-5. But I guess we'll never know until it plays out. But what we do know is, as of right now, it's a tough schedule, and you know, again, got to keep that mindset of go 1-0 every week, and it's a new season every week, and hopefully we can get it cracking by midseason and go on a nice streak by the time all these good teams come around. But again, we have a gauntlet in the beginning too, so we don't really have much time to get going.
yeah, I agree. Yeah, I'm going to stand on business. I'm going to keep that 12-5 mentality. Going to make it
Hey,
happen.
I love it.
Heck yeah. Mike says, I feel betrayed to steal words from Sean. I think I had the Bills going like 13-4. Love that, Weston. Love
What
it.
words did he steal?
I don't know. Feel betrayed to steal words from Sean. Not sure. Not sure, to be honest with you. Mike, fill us in. Maybe put it in the comments below. But hey, thank you all. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. We do our show. This is the Nickel City Rush Hour show. We usually do this every Sunday. We were doing it Wednesdays and Sundays. we felt like tonight we had to do a show. Obviously, schedule release, it's a big deal. Oh, when Sean said we betrayed him. Yeah, you're right, Mike. Yeah, that's true,
yeah,
Sean.
they
Full
did.
circle. Yeah. Yep.
Well, we didn't betray anybody. Brett never showed up, and Mike,
True.
full of excuses. So
Oh boy.
you know how it
Well, like
is.
I said, you will see us again Sunday night, and it's going to be a fun one. So, Keith, who's out there in the comments, we are going to be doing our first gridiron battle, if you will, going line by line, position by position group, and basically scoring it like it's a boxing match based on which room is better. So we're going to go quarterback room, running back room, et cetera, et cetera. So that'll be a lot of fun. Stay tuned. Sunday night, 10 p.m. Eastern. Sean, I know you guys got the Red, White, and Ruthless show. You know what the topic is for that by chance?
Well, I'm sure we'll touch on this a little bit again because Brett's got to do it, and
Yeah.
not too sure what else, but I'm sure we'll think of something fun. Well, Brett always does. So
I love it, man. Well, I'm excited to see you guys back on the airwaves. It's fun. It's exciting, and you guys do a hell of a show together. So thank you for joining me tonight, brother. It was fun.
course.
To everyone out there that watched, thank you so much. And as always, go Bills.
Go Bills.
Good night, guys.
Good night.